So what brings you out on this evening with all these pro-life folks out here?
Well, a lot of good friends. It's a good reunion, but most importantly, I'm here to celebrate and applaud Kay Coles James and Charles James for their getting one of the Life Awards. When I was governor, Kay James was my cabinet secretary for Health and Human Resources. We passed a monumental welfare reform, very pro-family, pro-work, and we also were able to get through a parental notification bill after 17 years of effort in Virginia. And Kay is just one of the best people I've ever met in my entire life. She's smart, she's articulate, she's fun, and she's very convincing of the things that she advocates. And one of those she's advocated is the protection of innocent human life.
Well, you've made a rise through the politics through the years, and do you think that having a pro-life stance has helped or hindered you?
You take a stand where you believe. I look at the issue of abortion or the issue of life as an issue that there are many aspects of it, and a lot of people have a lot of different views on it. You determine in your own heart and mind what is right. You stand your ground, you're going to get a broken rib. But it's a lot better than moving around, and you see a lot of politicians, they get asked a question on what do you think about parental notification or late-term abortion, or do you think the government ought to fund elective abortions, and they're uncomfortable, their eyes are shifting, and so they're spinning around and they're going to get 10 broken ribs, and it doesn't convince anyone because no one thinks that they really believe whatever they're saying. So through the years I've had people like Kay James, and before her a person named Ann Kincaid, who brought to our log house in Earlysville on a gravel road in the woods before I was governor a film called A Silent Scream. And that really, you can argue the issue of abortion on Roe versus Wade and how that's a wrongly decided decision, and what are these unelected judges doing imposing this law on the states, and the people in the states ought to make this decision, not the federal government, or certainly not Supreme Court justices creating rights. But then beyond that it's not just a legal argument, it's an ethical argument, and there is a human life that has a beating heart, that has measurable brain waves, has sensitivity to touch. And if people look at the issue that way, I think we'll get more people saying, this is not just an unrestrained matter. This is something that needs contemplation and prayer as to what's the right policy in our states.
Well, you brought up a good point about the federal government. As a pro-lifer, I can certainly understand that we don't want the federal government to be able to impose this kind of mass slaughter of human beings on that basis, but in the sense of, shouldn't there be some sort of global protection? I mean, let's say national, we're here in America, shouldn't there be some sort of national protection? I mean, if we left it to the states, we'd have 50 battles to fight.
But look, I'm one who believes very strongly in the Constitution and the protection of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And what the Roe versus Wade decision did, we're a government of laws and we're guided by our Constitution, is it knocked out the laws of the people in the states. There will be some states that may not pass laws that we want, but for states where the will of the people are being thwarted because of that Roe versus Wade decision, where whether it's late term abortion, or when you have viable unborn children, or states that don't want to fund. Gosh, even the fight on parental notification or parental consent, or even a father having some sort of at least notice on all of this, they all say, oh, well, this is contrary to Roe versus Wade. So I believe very strongly that the owners of the government are the people, and the people and their will has been thwarted, maybe not in every single state, but in many states, because those laws were knocked out. And I think you'll see South Dakota would have one law. It might be a slightly different one than they have in North Dakota. It'll probably be a whole heck of a lot different in a place like California. However, I think that's actually achievable, to let the people in the states make that decision. It's constitutionally sound, and it reflects the will of the people in those states. So you don't have them all saying, oh my goodness, you know the arguments the other side has. I don't care to repeat them. And so I think that's an achievable, principled goal that will save lives while reflecting the will and the hearts of the people in their states.
And what about representatives going out to abortion mills? Do you think that's something that pro-life representatives should do is go out there and pray at the abortion mills?
Well, if they so desire, yes, that's their First Amendment right to do so. So long as they're not committing a crime or harming anyone or property, sure, they could. That's their First Amendment right to do so. Let me just say, it's not as if the federal government has no role in this. And I think things such as late-term abortions or partial birth abortion, that is an infanticide. And the American Medical Association has said that. And so that is something that I think does make a great deal of sense. The federal government should not take a single penny of the taxpayers' money and use that for elective abortions. We just saw today, President Obama has repealed the Mexico City policy, which you'll see some of the reporting on it says, oh, well, this has to do with abortion counseling and such. It's more than abortion counseling. If all it was health counseling, that'd be fine. But it's actually paying for abortions in other countries. I don't think American taxpayer money ought to be going for paying for abortions in our country, and the heck if I want our money going to other countries, and in some of the countries having abortions contrary to the laws of those countries. Absolutely wrong. So the federal government has a big role. The key thing I think for the future of our country on this issue, though, is making sure that we get justices at the circuit court and especially the Supreme Court who understand what the proper role of the judiciary is. It's not to legislate from the bench. And I think that one of the best legacies of the Bush administration, and he's had some good ones and some bad legacies, but two really great ones are Justices Alito and Roberts. Those two gentlemen understand the role of the court. And as cases come up, we'd like maybe to have one other in addition to Justices Thomas and Scalia, and see where Kennedy goes. But they're going to be long-term legacies for the rule of law in this country.
Thank you.
Just one quick follow-up to that. What can Americans do then, now that President Obama has reversed that Mexico City policy? What can we do?
It is tough. I was on the Foreign Relations Committee, and we'd always make sure, because this is a foreign aid issue, and the Democrats have obviously even stronger numbers in the House and in the Senate in particular, so they can try. And there may be some Democrats, not every Republican's for it either. I mean, this is an issue that most Republicans vote generally on the pro-life side and most Democrats don't. But there are some Democrats, and to the extent anyone could try to get that put into the foreign operations bill, in other words, appropriations bills. Now, the problem is that President Obama probably would veto it, and I cannot really tell you, no matter how much praying you do, you're going to get 2/3 to override that veto. So somebody made a comment that this isn't a sprint, or it's not even a marathon, it's a relay race. And so people need to understand, in our representative democracy, our republic, the people are the owners. They need to look at where candidates stand on issues such as American energy security, taxes, the life issue, family issues, health care, all the issues, and try to get folks in there in the House and the Senate who share their views. And clearly, President Obama he's not breaching his word. Anybody who want to look at his record, that's his record. He's staying, unfortunately, consistent with it. But the only way to override it would be through the Congress, but it's going to be very hard with the strength and majorities that the Democrats have. But still, I'd say work on folks from states like Virginia, from Louisiana, from Arkansas, Democrats from those states, Florida, North Carolina, even West Virginia. Some of the states where you have, even Pennsylvania. With Casey's a good example as a Democrat who has said he's pro-life. So don't give up, keep fighting, keep trying.